When she saw the blood on his cuff, she was frightened, but she didn't let it show. She simply smiled and asked, "What size do you wear?" Friday, 9 in the evening. Little Italy in Newark was dying slowly, between the smell of fresh pizza and the exhaust from old sedans parked along the narrow streets. Elena Marco stood at the window of Voluto Nero, wiping down the last mirror, dreaming of a hot bath and a new episode of her show. 26 years old, and her life fit between this boutique of premium men's clothing and the two-family house where her mother snored and Grandma Carla muttered prayers. Elena spoke Italian. Grandma from Calabria had insisted, knew fabrics better than any tailor, and understood that men bought expensive suits for 3 reasons: a wedding, a divorce, or revenge. The door opened with the melodic jingle of a bell. Elena turned and froze. A man in a black coat stepped over the threshold as if the space around him shrank, obeying some invisible gravity. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a face carved from marble and shadows. Dark hair slicked back, 3 days of stubble, eyes the color of frosted steel, an old scar on his cheek, thin as a razor line. On the cuff of his white shirt, a dark stain, blood. Elena swallowed, but her smile stayed professional. "Good evening. We're closing in 10 minutes, but if you need help..." He slowly turned his head. His gaze slid over her, from the light hair pulled into a careless bun to the black, low-heeled shoes, and lingered on her face. Elena felt the air thicken. "Suit," he said in a low, raspy voice with a faint Italian accent. "I need a suit. For tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Elena raised an eyebrow. "That's very urgent. We have ready-made models, but alterations take at least 2 days." "I don't have 2 days." He took off his coat and hung it on the back of a chair. Beneath it, a black shirt perfectly hugging his torso, a holster under his arm. Elena wasn't supposed to see it, but she did. Her pulse quickened. "All right," she said slowly, trying not to look at the holster. "What's the occasion?" "Funeral." Silence. Outside, a couple of tourists passed, laughing at something on their phones. The world kept spinning, but in the boutique, time stopped. "I understand," Elena said softly. "My condolences. Let's find something appropriate." She led him to the fitting area, where rows of suits hung under soft lamplight. Cashmere, wool, Italian cut. Her hands reached automatically for a dark navy 3-piece, elegant, somber, but not mourning. "This one," she said, taking the jacket off the hanger. "Cashmere, hand-stitched. It'll fit perfectly if you're a standard build." "Standard?" He smirked, the first emotion on his face. "No one's ever called me standard." Elena looked up. He was close. Too close. She could smell his cologne, cedar, tobacco, something dark and expensive, and something else, metal or fear. She couldn't tell. "Take off your shirt," she ordered, trying to sound businesslike. "I need to take measurements." He unbuttoned slowly, never breaking eye contact. Elena forced herself to breathe evenly. She'd seen men in the fitting room hundreds of times, athletes, businessmen, grooms, but this one was different. On his torso, scars, many scars. One long from collarbone to ribs, another round, clearly from a bullet. "You were in the army?" she asked, pulling out the tape measure. "You could say that." Elena wrapped the tape around his chest. Her fingers trembled, barely noticeable, but he noticed. His breathing slowed. 48, she muttered, jotting the numbers on a slip. "Waist?" 34. She knelt to measure the inseam. His hands clenched into fists. Tension, barely contained. Elena felt his gaze on the back of her neck, the curve of her throat, her slender fingers sliding along the fabric. "Done," she said, standing. "The jacket should fit well. Try it on." He slipped it on. The fabric fell perfectly, shoulders, chest, waist. Elena stepped back, assessing, and nodded. "Perfect. It suits you." "Grazie," he said quietly. "You speak Italian?" Elena froze. She hadn't expected him to switch to her second language. "Si," she replied cautiously. My grandmother's from Calabria. She taught me. Something shifted in his face. The cold melted. For a second, no more. But she saw it. Pain, nostalgia, memory. Calabria, he repeated, almost a whisper. My mother was from there. Cosenza. Mine too, Elena said. Small world. Too small. He took off the jacket and handed it to her. Their fingers brushed, an instant, an electric spark that made Elena pull back. I'll take it, he said. How much? 3,200, Elena answered, striving for professionalism, plus urgency. Let's say 4,000. He pulled out a wallet, thick, leather, and counted out the bills. 50, 100, 4,500. 500's for you, he said, placing the money on the counter, for not asking extra questions. Elena wanted to refuse, but his gaze stopped her. It wasn't a gift. It was payment for silence. Thank you, she whispered. He put on his coat, headed for the door, but paused at the threshold. He pulled a card from his pocket, white, embossed, and set it on the display case. If you need me, call. Dante. And he left. Elena went to the window, picked up the card. Name, Dante Valenti. Phone number, nothing else. But she'd heard that name. In the news, in whispers on the streets of Little Italy, the Valenti family, Mafia. Her hands shook. She tucked the card in her pocket and locked up the shop. All the way home, she felt the heat of his gaze on her skin. Saturday passed in a fog. Elena couldn't stop thinking about him, about Dante, about his scars, the blood on his cuff, the way he'd said her native language, with such tenderness, like a prayer. Grandma Carla noticed her granddaughter was distracted and offered the rosary. Elena declined. The rosary wouldn't help with thoughts of a mobster. Sunday evening, as she prepared to close the shop, the door opened again. Dante. This time, no coat, black shirt with sleeves rolled up, expensive watch on his wrist, heavy ring with a crest on his finger. He was alone. You're back, Elena said, trying to sound calm. The suit didn't fit. The suit's perfect, he replied, locking the door behind him and flipping the sign to closed. But I have another order. Elena stepped back. We're closed. I know. He approached slowly. Elena felt her back hit the counter. Nowhere to run. What do you want? She asked, keeping her voice steady. To try on the suit, he said, in person, to make sure the fit's right. You already tried it Friday. I want to try it with you. Silence. Elena heard her own heartbeat. That's unprofessional, she muttered. Low so, he smirked. I know, but I'm not asking for professional. I'm asking for help. He took her hand, gently, almost tenderly, and led her to the fitting room. Elena went without resisting. Part of her screamed this was madness, but another part wanted to know what came next. The fitting room was small, mirrors on 3 walls, soft light, the scent of leather and expensive fabrics. Dante took off his shirt. Elena stared at his reflections, endless copies of this man surrounding her on all sides. You're not afraid of me, he said without turning. Why? I am afraid, Elena admitted. But fear doesn't always make you run. He turned to her, less than a meter between them. Tell me about your grandmother, he asked. About Calabria. Elena blinked. She'd expected anything but this. She left in 1955, Elena began slowly. After the earthquake, lost her family, came here with 1 suitcase and a prayer book, married my grandfather. He was from Sicily, too. They opened a bakery. I grew up on the smell of fresh bread and stories of the old country. Dante listened without interruption. His gaze softened. My mother sang me lullabies, he said quietly. In dialect. I don't remember the words, but I remember the melody. She died when I was 8. My father was never a gentle man. Elena touched his hand, an impulse, uncontrollable. I'm sorry. Don't be, he shook his head. It made me who I am. And who are you? A monster." The word hung in the air. Elena didn't pull away. "I've seen your scars," she said. "They don't make you a monster. They make you a survivor." Dante yanked her to him suddenly, one hand around her waist, the other at the back of her head. Elena gasped in surprise but didn't resist. His face was so close she felt the warmth of his breath. "You don't know what you're talking about," he whispered. "You don't know what I've done. How many people died by my hand. How much blood is on me." "Then tell me," Elena breathed. "Explain why you're here, why you came back." "Because when you spoke Italian," his voice hardened, "I felt something for the first time in 20 years besides emptiness, and it scared me more than any bullet." He wanted to kiss her. Elena saw it in his eyes, the tension in his lips, but instead he released her and stepped back. "Leave, Elena, before it's too late. And if I don't want to leave, then you're signing your own death warrant." The fitting room door burst open. A man in a suit stood in the frame, burly, short-cropped hair, gun in hand. "Boss," he said tensely, "Vinny's in the neighborhood. He knows where you are. We have to go, now." Dante cursed in Italian, harsh, sharp, grabbed his shirt, pulled it on without buttoning. "Nico, start the car." "And her?" Nico nodded at Elena. Dante looked at her, decision in his eyes. "She's coming with us." "What?" Elena recoiled. "I'm not going anywhere." "If you stay," Dante grabbed her shoulders, "you die. Vinny will know you talked to me. He'll come here. He won't ask questions. He'll just kill everyone who was near me. This is insane. I have nothing to do with you." "Now you do." He dragged her toward the exit. Elena struggled, but his grip was iron. "Let me go. I'll call the police." Dante stopped, leaned to her ear, his voice cold as a blade. "The police won't save you from Vinny Rizzo. He'll gut you while you're still breathing and send the pieces to your grandmother in a box. So you're coming with me, whether you want to or not." Elena froze. There was no threat in his words, just fact. She nodded. A black Cadillac waited at the curb, engine running. Nico sat at the wheel, fingers tapping nervously. Dante shoved Elena into the back seat and slid in beside her. The door slammed. "Drive," Dante snapped. The car lurched forward. Elena pressed into the seat, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. She stared out the window. Familiar Little Italy streets blurred past, but now they seemed alien, hostile. "Who's Vinny?" she asked, striving for a steady voice. "Rival," Dante replied curtly, pulling out his phone. "He wants my territory and my place." "And what does that have to do with me?" Dante turned to her, his gaze hard. "Because he saw me go into your shop, twice. For Vinny, that's enough to decide you matter to me." "But I don't matter. I just sell suits." "Now you do." A shot shattered the silence. The rear window exploded in shards. Elena screamed. Dante shoved her down, covering her with his body. Another shot, and another. "They're on us!" Nico yelled, wrenching the wheel. The car skidded, but Nico regained control. Dante drew his pistol from the holster, smashed the rest of the rear window, and fired back. The roar of gunfire deafened Elena. She clamped her hands over her ears, huddling on the floor. "How many?" Dante barked. "2, black SUV!" Nico swerved. The Cadillac jumped the curb, tore past a fruit stand, scattering crates of apples. Dante kept shooting. One pursuer fell back, smoke pouring from under the hood. But the second was persistent. Elena lifted her head and saw the driver's face, young, scar through his brow, rage in his eyes. "That's Vinny!" she shouted. Dante cursed and emptied the clip. A bullet shattered the SUV's windshield. Vinny jerked the wheel. The vehicle slammed into a parked van with a deafening crash. "Go!" Dante slammed the seat back. Nico floored it. The Cadillac tore out of Little Italy, raced over the Passaic River Bridge, and headed for the hills. Elena slowly rose from the floor, brushing glass from her hair. Her hands shook. That was insanity. she muttered. Dante reloaded his pistol and holstered it. Welcome to my life. The mansion in West Orange was massive. 2 stories, dark brick, wrought iron gates, guards at the entrance. Nico drove through. The gates clanged shut behind them. Elena stepped out on shaky legs. Dante steadied her by the elbow. Inside, he said. She didn't resist. It was dark within, smelling of old wood and expensive whiskey. Dante led her to the living room. Fireplace, leather armchairs, a huge painting of an Italian landscape over the mantel. Sit, he ordered. Elena sank into a chair. Dante poured her whiskey and handed it over. She downed it in one gulp, coughing. What now? She asked when she could speak. What are you going to do? Find Vinny. End this. And me? Dante crouched before her, took her face in his hands, his touch unexpectedly gentle. You stay here, under protection. No one will dare touch you in my house. And my family? Mom, Grandma. Nico already sent men. They're safe. Elena closed her eyes. Tears burned her lids, but she wouldn't let them fall. How did I end up in this? I just sold you a suit. I know, his voice softened, and I'm sorry, but I can't change it. I can only protect you. Why? Elena opened her eyes. Why does it matter to you? You don't even know me. Dante was silent a long time. Then he slowly stood and turned away. Because when I look at you, he said quietly, I don't see darkness. I see light, and I don't want that light to go out. Suddenly, the living room door burst open. A guard rushed in. Boss, in the basement, we caught one of Vinny's men. Dante whipped around. Alive? For now. Good, I'm coming down. He glanced at Elena. Stay here, don't leave. And he was gone. Elena sat in the chair trying to process. Then, against her will, she stood and walked to the hall. Voices drifted up from the basement. She crept down the stairs, gripping the rail. The basement door was ajar. Elena peered through the crack and froze. Dante stood over a man tied to a chair. The captive's face was bloody, one eye swollen shut. Dante held pliers. He squeezed the man's finger, slowly, methodically, until the man screamed. Where's Vinny? Dante asked coldly. I don't know, I swear, I don't know. Dante squeezed harder. Bone cracked. A scream. Where is Vinny? At the warehouse, by the river. He's hiding there. Please stop. Dante released the pliers, turned to Nico. Check it. If it's a lie, kill him. Yes, boss. Dante left the basement and saw Elena in the hall. His face hardened. I told you not to leave. Elena was silent. She stared at his hands, blood under the nails, red stains on the sleeves. You tortured him, she whispered. Yes, that's monstrous. I told you. Dante approached slowly. I'm a monster. Elena backed toward the door. Her hand found the knob. I need to leave, right now. You can't. It's not safe outside. I don't care. I can't be here. I can't be with you. She yanked the door open and ran. Dante didn't stop her. He just stood and watched her vanish into the night. Elena ran through dark streets, no sense of direction. The cold November wind whipped her face. Lungs burned, but she didn't stop. Behind her, Dante's mansion, ahead, unknown. She flagged a taxi at an intersection, gave her address in a trembling voice, and collapsed into the back seat. The driver, an older man with gray mustache, glanced at her in the mirror. Everything okay, miss? Yes, Elena lied. Just a bad date. He grunted and turned on the radio. An old Italian song played, something about the sea and lost love. Elena closed her eyes, but all she saw was Dante's face, cold and ruthless, his hands gripping the pliers, the man's scream. I'm a monster. He hadn't lied. Home was quiet. Mom asleep on the couch in front of the TV, Grandma Carla snoring in her room. Elena went to the bathroom, locked the door, and looked in the mirror. Pale face, wide pupils, hair disheveled, a small scratch on her neck from glass shards. She turned on the water, hot, almost scalding, and scrubbed the night away. Soap, shampoo, scrub, until her skin was red. But the images wouldn't leave. Gunshots, blood. Dante shielding her with his body, Dante breaking a man's fingers. 2 different men, or one, with 2 faces? Elena stepped out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, and fell onto the bed. She pulled out her phone. 12 missed calls, all from an unknown number. She deleted them without listening. Then she remembered the card. Dante's card was still in her jeans pocket. Elena fished it out, holding it by the edges like something poisonous. White cardstock, embossed. Dante Valenti, phone number. If you need me, call. She wanted to tear it up, throw it away, forget. But instead, she slipped it under her pillow and lay staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. At 3 a.m, a knock at the window. Elena bolted upright, heart racing. The knock repeated, quiet, insistent. She went to the window, pulled back the curtain. Nico stood outside. Elena flung the window open. "What are you doing here?" "Boss said if you don't come back, they'll come for your family," Nico said evenly. "Vinny knows where you live. We have 10 minutes, maybe less. This is bullshit. I did nothing to him." "Doesn't matter to Vinny. He'll kill anyone connected to the boss, including you, including your family." Elena felt the ground drop away. No, this can't be true. "Believe me or not, your choice." Nico drew a pistol and held it out. "But if you stay, better take this." Elena stared at the gun. Black, cold, heavy, an instrument of death. I don't know how to shoot." "Then learn fast, or come with me." Elena glanced at her bedroom door. Beyond it, Mom, Grandma, her life, her world. But if Nico was telling the truth, she took the pistol. "Wait in the car, 2 minutes." Nico nodded and melted into the dark. Elena dressed quickly, jeans, sweater, sneakers, and went to her mom's door, pushed it open gently. "Mom?" Mom slept soundly. Elena scribbled a note on a notepad sheet. "Gone for a few days to a friend's. Don't worry, love you." Left it on the nightstand, kissed her mom's forehead, and slipped out. Grandma Carla met her in the hall. The old woman in her nightgown, rosary in hand, eyed her granddaughter sharply. "Dove vai? Where are you going?" "I have to leave, Nonna," Elena whispered, "for a little while." "E per quell'uomo?" "Because of that man." Elena froze. You know?" Grandma Carla took her face in dry, wrinkled hands. "I saw how he looked at you in the shop," she said in Italian. "I know that look. Your grandfather looked at me the same. It's the look of a man who's lost everything and found the one thing that matters. He's dangerous, Nonna. All men are dangerous," Grandma smirked. "But some are dangerous because they protect. Go, but come back. Promise." Elena hugged her, burying her face in a shoulder smelling of lavender and old prayers. "I promise." The black Cadillac waited around the corner. Elena slid into the back seat. Nico pulled away. "Where's Dante?" she asked. "Preparing. We're heading to the warehouse. Vinny will be there." "And what am I supposed to do?" "Stay alive." Elena gripped the pistol. Her hands trembled. "Nico, I've never killed anyone." "Let's hope you don't start tonight," he said, glancing in the rear view. "But if it comes to it, aim center mass and fire twice. One shot might not stop a man on adrenaline." Elena nodded. Her throat was dry. Dante's mansion was ablaze with light. Inside, chaos. Men in black, weapons, maps on tables. Dante stood in the center, issuing orders. When Elena entered, he turned. Their eyes met. Dante pushed past his men and approached her. "You came back," he said quietly. "I had no choice," Elena replied. "Nico said Vinny knows where I live." "He wasn't lying. One of my informants confirmed. We have little time." "Then explain." Elena stepped closer. "Why I should trust you. After what I saw in the basement? Dante clenched his jaw. You shouldn't trust me. You should understand I'm the only one who can keep you alive. After that, you can walk away and never look back. And if I don't want to walk away? The words escaped before Elena could think. Dante froze. What did you say? I said. Elena lifted her chin. Maybe I don't want to walk away. Maybe I want to understand who you really are. Not the monster you showed me, but the man who speaks Italian with tenderness in his voice, who shielded me with his body when the shots came, who... Dante pulled her to him and kissed her. Hard, desperate, lips, teeth, hands, and hair. Elena gasped but matched his fury. All the fear, anger, tension of the past 2 days poured into that moment. She clutched his shirt. He pressed her against the wall, his body, hard, hot, against hers. Someone cleared their throat behind them. Dante pulled away, breathing hard. Boss, Nico said. Time. Dante nodded, looked at Elena. You stay here, with guards. No, Elena said. I'm coming with you. That's insane. You dragged me into this. Now I have a right to see how it ends. Dante started to argue, but Elena cut him off. Teach me to survive, she said, echoing his words. Give me a chance. A long pause. Then Dante nodded. Fine, but you do what I say. Clear? Clear. He took her hand and led her to the basement. The basement had been converted into a range. Targets on walls, gunpowder smell, soundproofing. Dante positioned Elena before a target and handed her a pistol. A Glock. Light. Reliable. Both hands, he instructed, standing behind her. Left foot slightly forward. Like that. Knees bent a little. Weight on the front foot. Elena assumed the stance. Dante wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands over hers, guiding. Aim through the sights. See the front sight? Align it with the target. Breathe. Half exhale. And his finger covered hers on the trigger. Fire. The shot boomed. Elena flinched. Recoil shoved her back into Dante's chest. The bullet hit the wall, far from the target. Again, he said. Don't fear the recoil. Embrace it. It's part of you. Elena fired again. Miss. And again. Miss. I can't, she shouted, lowering the gun. It's useless. Dante turned her to face him, his expression serious. Listen to me, he said, eyes locked on hers. Fear is normal. But fear doesn't control you. You control fear. Understand? How? How do I control what's screaming inside to run? You look death in the eyes, his hands on her shoulders, and say, not today. Elena shuddered. Something in his words, his tone, awakened something primal. Survival instinct. Rage. Again, she whispered. Dante placed the gun in her hands. Elena raised it, aimed, breathed slow. Half exhale. Fire. The bullet clipped the target's edge. Better, Dante said. More. Elena fired again, closer to center, and again, and again. The clip emptied. The last bullet lodged a centimeter from the bullseye. Elena lowered the gun, hands shaking, but a smile touched her lips. I hit it. You hit it, Dante confirmed, and for the first time, she saw something like pride in his eyes. He stepped closer. Elena tilted her face up. Their lips met, slower this time, deeper. His hands slid down her back, her fingers buried in his hair. The world shrank to this basement, to the two of them, to the heat of his body and the wild beat of her heart. Dante pulled back, forehead against hers. You're driving me insane, he whispered. From the moment you spoke Italian, I tried to stay away. I couldn't. Then don't let me go, Elena breathed. Whatever happens next, don't let go. Never. A sharp phone buzz cut the moment. Dante cursed, pulled out his mobile, read the message, and his face turned to stone. What is it? Elena asked. Vinny. He gripped the phone until his knuckles whitened. He sent a photo of your grandmother with a laser sight on her head. Elena snatched the phone. On the screen, Grandma Carla on the porch in her nightgown, taking out trash. a red dot on her temple. Message below: bring the girl, alone, by dawn, or the old woman dies. The blood drained from Elena's face. No, 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 no. Dante hugged her, but she broke free. He'll kill her. Dante, he'll kill my grandmother. He won't, Dante said coldly, because we strike first, tonight, now. But he said alone? If you come, I'm not giving him a choice. Dante took her face in his hands. Listen, we go there, but not alone, not defenseless. We go as an army, and Vinny Rizzo will never threaten anyone again. Elena stared into his eyes, gray, cold, full of resolve. Promise me, she whispered. Promise my grandmother lives. I promise, on my life. Elena nodded. Dante kissed her, quick, fierce, and turned to the door. Nico, round everyone up. We move in 5. 4:17 a.m. The sky over Newark was the color of an old bruise, purple edged with gray. 3 black SUVs sped through empty streets toward the Passaic River. In the first, Dante, Elena, Nico, and 2 guards. In the second and third, the rest of Dante's men, 14 in all. Elena sat in the back, pistol holstered at her hip, heart drumming. Dante held her hand, tight, like an anchor in a storm. When we arrive, he said quietly, you stay in the car until I signal. If anything goes wrong, I know, Elena cut in. Shoot twice, center mass. Dante gave a grim smile. You learn fast. The warehouse emerged from the fog, an old brick building by the water, abandoned, windows smashed, gates rusted, perfect for an ambush or a killing. Dante raised a hand. The vehicle stopped 100 meters out. Silence. Only the lap of water against the dock and gulls crying. Nico, Dante said, take 2, circle right. Marco, left with 3. The rest with me, on 3. Men slipped from the cars silently like shadows. Elena started to get out, but Dante held her back. Wait here. But, Elena, please. There was something in his voice she hadn't heard before. A plea. Fear. Not for himself. For her. She nodded. Nonna! Elena lunged, but Vinny raised a hand. Not a step, or my hand slips. He held a pistol to Grandma's temple. The old woman glared at her granddaughter. No fear, only fury. Let her go, Elena said, forcing calm. I'm here. That's all you wanted, right? Not quite, Vinny smirked. I want Dante, your bait. He'll come to save you. Then I'll cut out the tongue he uses to order my men around. Then the hands he holds guns with. Then... You're insane, Elena whispered. Maybe, Vinny tilted his head. But soon I'll be the insane one running this city. Suddenly, an explosion. The front wall collapsed. Dante and his men stormed in, firing. Vinny cursed, shoved Grandma aside, and grabbed Elena by the throat. Stand down, he shouted, or I snap her neck. Dante froze 10 meters away, pistol aimed at Vinny, his face a mask of rage. Let her go, now. Drop the gun. Vinny tightened his grip. Elena choked, or she dies right now. Dante slowly lowered the pistol to the floor. Good, now let her go. You think I'm an idiot? Vinny laughed. You leave first, all of you. Then maybe I let her go. Maybe. Elena felt the knife hidden in her bra. Small, folding Nico's gift before leaving, dig into her skin. She slid her hand under her sweater slowly. Don't do this, Vinny, Dante said, dangerously quiet. You don't want to piss me off. Fuck you. Elena yanked the knife, spun, and drove it into Vinny's thigh. He screamed, released her. Elena dropped. Dante surged forward. Shots, screams, chaos. One of Vinny's men fired. A bullet whistled past Elena's head. She rolled, grabbed her pistol, and fired back. Once, twice. The man fell. Dante reached Vinny, knocked the gun away, and punched him in the face. 1, 2, 3. Blood sprayed. Dante didn't stop. Dante, Elena yelled. Enough! You'll kill him! That's the point, Dante roared, landing another blow. Nico ran to Grandma, cut the ropes. The old woman spat out the gag and bellowed in Italian. "Where are my rosaries? These bastards stole my rosaries." Elena laughed hysterically, her grandmother yelling about stolen beads while guns blazed around them. Dante grabbed Vinny by the hair, dragged him to the warehouse center, drew a knife. "You wanted my tongue?" he hissed. "Let's start with yours." "Dante, no!" Elena rushed to him, grabbed his arm. "Not like this. He threatened you, your family. I know, but if you kill him this way, you become the monster they say you are." Dante stared at her, storm in his eyes. Then slowly, he lowered the knife. "Nico," he said hoarsely, "take him, hand him to the police, let him rot in prison." Nico nodded, hauled Vinny up and dragged him out. Elena hugged Dante, tight, desperate. He crushed her to him, buried his face in her hair. "You could have died," he whispered. "I know, but I'm here. I'm alive." Suddenly, another shot. Elena felt Dante jerk, drop to his knees. A red bloom spread on his shirt. "Dante!" she spun. At the far wall stood Nico, pistol smoking. "Sorry, boss," he said coldly, "but the Valenti family has to burn." Time slowed. Elena stared at Nico, loyal Nico, bodyguard, friend, and couldn't believe it. His face calm, almost indifferent. The pistol smoked, now aimed at her. "Nico, what are you doing?" she shouted, pressing hands to Dante's wound. Blood seeped through her fingers, hot and sticky. "What I should have done long ago," Nico replied, advancing slowly. "The Valentis held power too long. Time for change." Dante groaned, tried to rise, but Elena held him down. "Don't move," she whispered, then glared at Nico. "Why? He trusted you." "Trust is weakness," Nico shrugged. "Dante got soft. Because of you. Before he'd have killed Vinny without hesitation. But you made him vulnerable." "You made me human," Dante rasped, pushing up on an elbow, his face pale but eyes blazing. "You're a traitor, Nico. After everything. After everything. I'm tired of living in your shadow," Nico exploded. "I did the dirty work, risked my life, and you got the glory and power. No more." He raised the pistol, aiming at Dante's head. Elena acted on instinct. She drew her pistol from the holster, hands shaking, but the basement lessons, Dante's words guiding her, aimed and pulled the trigger. Once, twice. Both bullets hit Nico's chest. He froze, eyes wide in shock, pistol dropping. He fell to his knees, then face down. Silence. Elena stared at the body, the smoke from her barrel. She had just killed a man. Killed. "Elena." Dante's voice pulled her back. "Elena, look at me." She turned. Dante looked at her, not with blame, not fear, with gratitude. "You saved my life," he whispered. "I killed him." Her voice trembled. I didn't want to. He would have killed us both." Dante reached for her, touched her face. "You did what you had to. That doesn't make you a monster. It makes you a survivor." Suddenly, smoke. Elena turned. In the corner, fire roared. One of Vinny's dying men had dropped a cigarette on spilled fuel. Flames spread fast along the walls. "We have to get out!" one of Dante's guards shouted. "Gas cans! If they blow—" "Help me!" Elena slipped under Dante's arm. Two more guards ran up, lifted him. Grandma Carla marched ahead, cursing in Italian and waving her recovered rosary. They escaped through the back as the warehouse shuddered from the first explosion. The blast wave hurled Elena forward. She fell, rolling on concrete, elbows scraped, but sprang up. "Dante!" Two guards dragged him to the SUV. Elena ran after. A second explosion tore the roof off. Fire shot into the sky, turning dawn hellish. They loaded Dante into the back seat. Elena climbed in beside him, pressing her sweater to his wound. It was already soaked red. "Hold on," she whispered. "Please, hold on. Don't you dare die. Hear me. Don't dare." Dante smiled weakly. "You giving me orders?" "Yes. Damn it, yes." "Che donna," he whispered. "What a woman." The car sped off. Behind, sirens, screams, chaos. Ahead, unknown. They arrived at a private clinic on the city's edge, a place that asked few questions for Valenti clients. Dante was wheeled into surgery. Elena waited in the hall, blood-soaked clothes, hands shaking. Grandma Carla sat beside her, hugged her shoulders. "Va tutto bene, piccola," she murmured. "Everything will be fine." "How, Nonna?" Elena lifted tear-filled eyes. "How will it be fine? I killed a man. I saw him fall, the blood." "You protected the one you love." Grandma squeezed her hand. "That's not a crime. That's love." "Do I love him?" Elena shook her head. "I barely know him. This all happened in 3 days. 3 days, Nonna." "Love doesn't count time," the old woman smirked. "Your grandfather proposed 4 days after we met. I said yes. We were together 52 years. But Dante, he's mafia. He's killed people. He's dangerous." "All men are dangerous," Grandma repeated. "But he saved you. He risked for you. That says a lot." Elena leaned into her, eyes closed. Exhaustion crashed like a wave. She didn't know how much time passed when the OR door opened. The surgeon emerged, older man, bloodied scrubs. "He'll live," the doctor said. "Bullet passed clean through, missed vital organs. He was lucky." Elena exhaled, tension draining. "Can I see him?" "In an hour. Let him come out of anesthesia." Elena sat by Dante's bed, holding his hand. He slept, pale, bandaged chest, but alive. Alive. She leaned in, kissed his knuckles. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. "When you fell, I thought it was over." His fingers weakly squeezed hers. "Elena." His voice hoarse but strong. He opened his eyes. "You're here." "I promise not to let go." She smiled through tears. "I don't break promises." Dante pulled her closer. Elena lay beside him on the narrow hospital bed, careful of the wound. He held her, face in her hair. "I have to leave," he said quietly. "This city, this life. After what happened, war will start. Other families will want Valenti power. I can't drag you into it." "Then take me with you." Elena lifted her head, met his eyes. "Wherever you go, I go with you." "Elena." "No, listen." She touched his lips with her fingers. 3 days ago, my life was boring and predictable. I sold suits, dreamed of more, but was afraid to step. Then you walked into my shop, and everything changed. You changed me. I can't go back to who I was." "You can," Dante whispered. "You should. You deserve a normal life. A husband who doesn't carry a gun. Kids who won't grow up in mafia shadows." "Maybe," she agreed, "but I don't want it. I want you, imperfect, dangerous, with all your scars and darkness, because in that darkness I found light. My light." Dante looked at her long, then slowly nodded. "Italy," he said. "I have a small house in Calabria. Vineyards, olive trees, quiet, peace. We can start over." "With my family?" "With your family." Elena smiled, the first real happy smile in these 3 mad days. "Then let's go." Dante pulled her close and kissed her, slow, tender, like a promise, like a vow. Outside the clinic, the sun rose over Newark. New day, new life. 2 years later, Calabria, Italy. Sunset painted the hills gold and purple. Vineyards heavy with harvest stretched to the horizon. Olive trees rustled in the warm wind, carrying scents of sea and basil. Elena stood on the terrace of the stone house, old but cozy, thick walls, red-tiled roof. In her hands, a basket of garden tomatoes. On her finger, a simple gold wedding band, meaning everything. "Mama!" A child's voice, bright as a bell. A girl about 1.5 ran from the house. Dark curls, father's gray eyes, mother's laugh. "Lucia." Elena scooped her up, kissing plump cheeks. "Amore mio, what were you doing with Nonna?" "Learning to swear," Lucia announced proudly in Italian. Elena groaned. Grandma Carla emerged on the terrace, waving a wooden spoon. "This girl will be a true Calabrian," the old woman declared. "Knows all the bad words at 3. She's 1.5, Nona. Even better. Start early, go far." Elena laughed. Mom followed with a pitcher of lemonade. Dante's back from the market, brought fresh fish for dinner. As if on cue, an old truck appeared on the drive. Dante stepped out, tanned, in a simple white shirt and jeans, no trace of his old life. Only the scars remained, hidden under clothes, reminders of the past. He saw Elena on the terrace and smiled, that rare, genuine smile she'd learned to treasure. "Ciao, Bella," he called, climbing the steps. Lucia wriggled free and ran to him. Dante caught her, tossed her in the air. She squealed with delight. "Papa, Papa, Nona taught me bad words." Dante laughed, deep, free. The sound Elena loved most in the world. He approached, one arm around Elena, Lucia in the other, and kissed the top of her head. "How was your day?" "Perfect," Elena said, leaning into him. "Absolutely perfect." They went inside. In the kitchen, Grandma worked magic at the stove. Mom set the table. Garlic, tomatoes, fresh bread filled the air. Laughter, talk in 2 languages, family warmth. After dinner, when Lucia slept and the older women retired, Dante and Elena sat on the terrace. Stars dotted the sky. Distant village lights glowed. Dante pulled something white from his pocket. The card. Elena recognized it instantly. "You kept it?" "I did," he corrected, "until today." He stood, went to the terrace fireplace, a summer pizza oven, and tossed the card into the coals. The paper flared, turned to ash. "Dante Valenti no longer exists," he said, returning to her. "Now I'm just Dante, husband, father, winemaker." "Are you happy?" Elena asked. He looked at her, long, carefully, then nodded slowly. "For the first time in my life, yes, I'm happy." Elena hugged him. They sat under the stars, listening to Calabria's night sounds. "Remember in the fitting room," she said quietly, "when you asked why I wasn't afraid of you? I remember. I said fear doesn't always make you run. And I was right. Fear led me to you. Love made me stay. And hope brought us here." Dante kissed her, slow, tender, like the first time in the basement, like the last in the clinic, like a promise for life. "You still have that suit?" Elena asked with a smile. "The one you bought for the funeral?" Dante grinned. "Only for burying the past, amore mio. Only for burying the past." They watched the sunset over the olives, 2 become 1, through fire and blood to find peace. The past was ash. The future grew like grapes in the sun. And somewhere in the house, Lucia cried. Dante and Elena exchanged looks, laughed, and went together to soothe their daughter. Life went on, simple, real, theirs. 20 years after those events, a journalist from New York came to a small Calabrian village, researching the Valenti family. He found a winery owned by one Dante and Elena. "Did you know Dante Valenti?" he asked. An older woman with silver hair and smiling eyes shook her head. "No such person ever lived here. But if you want good wine, welcome. The best in the region." The journalist bought a bottle and left, none the wiser. On the label, Cener e Olive, ashes and olives. Below, in small letters, "From the ashes of the past grows the future." And somewhere on the terrace of the old house, Dante and Elena, now gray-haired, held hands and watched the sunset. Beside them, their grown children laughed, and grandchildren were already growing. The story ended. Life continued. And that was the best revenge against fate they could imagine.